I spent a lot of time in church, Baptist church as a young kid. And we'd go to Coney Island in the summertime or Palisades Park. Amusement parks were always fun. Coney Island was great. Even going to school, that was very interesting. When I was in the second grade, my teacher told my parents to take me out of the school that I was going to and transfer me to another public school. So I ended up catching 2 buses, public buses, to school every day, and because it was on the other side of town. And there were only 3 black kids in the school, counting me, and the other 2 were brother and sister. So that was very interesting. I went to a white school in the daytime, but then I would come home to a black neighborhood in the evening. And that went on from K through, well, from 3rd grade to the 8th grade. And it was more like a parochial school education. You know, I had many more things to do in school than kids in my neighborhood. A lot of field trips. We go to the United Nations, go to see a Broadway play, Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building. You know, all because Newark is like 7 miles from Midtown Manhattan. So we spent a lot of time in New York. And that was a great thing to do. You know, I'm a child of the 60s. So when I was in grammar school, it was the 60s. A very vibrant time, you know. I got to see John F. Kennedy in a motorcade, shook Martin Luther King's hand when I was 12. Saw Muhammad Ali. You know, it's unfortunately all those people are gone now, but I was very lucky to grow up then. When I left Newark, I went in the military. I stayed in college for a while. I went to Seton Hall University after high school for a couple of years, and then I got tired of being a broke student. You know, when you're in college, you're broke. So I decided I wanted something new, so I went in the military. I was in the Army for a while, and that was a shock, going in the Army, because being an inner city kid, although I went not necessarily camping in the summertime. I was in a program called Upward Bound when I was in high school. And camping in the summer with them was going to stay in a log cabin somewhere. So that's not really camping. So when I went in the Army, that was a big change because you actually spend time in the woods. And that was a shock, you know. I wasn't prepared for that, but I survived, and the Army was fascinating. I got to travel a bit. I spent some time in Central America, spent time in the Middle East, and I had a good time in the Army. When I left the Army, 90 days later, I was working at San Quentin. I was a correctional officer for a few years, and that was a shock. But I survived. I told you I grew up in a Baptist church, and when I moved to Cloverdale, I wanted to find a church here. And I must have gone to a half a dozen churches, and none of them gave me the feeling I wanted to get. And I happened to go to St. Peter's one day, and Father Devereaux, who's deceased now, was the priest there. And originally he was from Detroit, which is a city a lot like Newark. And he and I clicked right away. You know, he understood what it was to be an inner city kid, and he and I talked, and he was well read, as most priests are. Very intelligent man, and I converted to Catholicism. It took me a couple of years, but I became a Catholic. And, religion is religion. You know, you accept some of the tenets and some of them. I think any man, regardless of his faith, his race, denomination, is going to get his reward at the end. When it's all over, you get what you get, you know. The most important thing, and I try to teach my children that, is to treat people the way you want to be treated. That's the most important thing, you know. If you don't want it done to you, don't do it to somebody else. That's the main thing. But what I was looking for with the church was a sense of peace. When you go into church, you wanna feel good, you know. And I like the quiet there. I like the incense. I was even a lector there for a while. A lector is a person who reads part of the scripture before the priest does his litany, and I enjoyed having my children go to church with me. You know, my daughter especially enjoyed going. I don't know too many boys who like going to church, but my daughter and I would go together, and that was always nice. So I think that's important. Religion is not necessarily the broad aspect of the church and what it's trying to do in the world and trying to get people to follow certain tenets. I like the peace and quiet of church. That's more what I identify with. I mean, the Catholic Church has contributed to a lot of atrocities in our world in history, and while I don't agree with that, I agree with the premise that man should be kind to other men. I think that's important.
I'm Alexis Jimenez.
I'm Hannah Spengler.
I'm Annabelle Frazier.
I'm Guadalupe Nepomuceno.
I'm Miguel Hickson.